Each year, the Nance Hospital complex receives mothers accompanied by their young children who are suffering from complicated heart defects. These families come directly from Uzbekistan, a Central Asian country some 7,000 kilometers away. A medical team sent to Uzbekistan assesses the children based on the extreme seriousness of their condition. As soon as they arrive at the hospital, a highly specialized team welcomes them for a series of examinations. This initiative is funded by the You Are Not Alone Foundation as part of its charitable works.
60 degrees.
We have a special relationship with the children of Uzbekistan with the You Are Not Alone Foundation. This morning, 3 children with heart pathologies arrived. They were singled out in Tashkent. These pathologies are a bit too complicated for the clinics in Tashkent, so we prefer to bring them to Nantes. I do an anesthesia consultation, which includes a biological assessment and a clinical overview, of course. Dr. Benbrick, the cardiologist, will give them their cardiac ultrasound, and they will also see the surgeon, Professor Baron. I only have a short summary of the ultrasound done in Uzbekistan with a device that is not the most efficient. So Dr. Benbrick will redo the ultrasound and decide if a cardiac catheterization is necessary to complete the diagnosis. That would give him pressure measurements to ensure that the surgery is perfectly attuned.
This morning we saw 3 children whom we had already seen in Tashkent. Our practice stipulates that we must always re-examine them with another team and other material. There's nothing new except for the last child where we see a change compared to what we saw in Uzbekistan, and as a result, she'll have to change the operating strategy completely. The goal is to see the child regularly, using several ultrasounds to establish an accurate diagnosis. This is what is done in France. We never operate on a child after just a single ultrasound. We do 2, 3, 4 ultrasounds. We present the file to the medical and surgical staff to make sure we have not forgotten any detail that could change the treatment.
So, Azamat Ergashaliyev, is that correct? You will stay in the room for 2 hours. 1, 2. One more kiss. Here, it'll be fine. For open heart surgery, catheterization will provide essential information on blood flow and pressure. A small tube is inserted into an artery or vein and will be guided to the heart. Then, a contrast agent injected into the bloodstream will allow the process to be X-rayed. Pre-operative assessments are validated by the medical team. Surgery can begin. The operating room staff are ready. The hygiene protocols are rigorous. Professor Olivier Baron, head of the Surgical Department of Congenital and Pediatric Heart Disease, is getting ready. He will be assisted by 2 surgeons and the anesthesiologist, Dr. De Wint, who will administer an anesthetic and monitor the child throughout the intervention.
We need experienced teams, and experience is not gained in just one mission. It takes years and years. And when I say we need to be experienced, I'm not just talking about a single person. It is an entire group. It is the caregiver, the nurses, the resuscitation doctors, anesthesiologists. In the operating room, the whole sequence is needed to make sure this operated child will be monitored very closely to avoid any complications. We have been working together for 10 years, so we all know each other. And we are not perfect either. I think everyone must always say we can do better, always better. But when there is a close-knit group, of course, it works better.
The term surgeon comes from the words hand and work. This can be seen in precise and coordinated movements. Cardiac surgery was made possible by a technique invented by Dr. Gibbon in the United States and used on humans in 1953. It is an artificial circulation machine that temporarily takes over the function of the heart and lungs during surgery, maintaining the circulation of blood and the oxygen content. But what is a heart for? The heart is a vital organ. We cannot live without our heart. It is made up of a right part and a left part, which sends blood throughout the body. Blood and oxygen are the body's essential fuels. The more the body moves, the faster the heart beats to increase the circulation of blood. Every day, it beats 100,000 times and pumps up to 8,000 liters of blood round a closed circuit.
In 2015, we began our partnership with the You Are Not Alone Foundation. The Chain of Hope Association contacted us, asked us to go on the initial exploratory mission in July 2015. And since then, we have been coming about twice a year on care missions with a whole team to care for sick children. The You Are Not Alone Foundation has a huge number of children to take care of, and the most serious cases are treated in Nantes, and we go to Tashkent regularly to take care of these children.
Founded in 2002 by Lola Karamova-Tilieva, the You Are Not Alone Foundation is an Uzbek charitable organization which cares for orphans and disabled children from birth through adulthood. The foundation built, renovated, and furnished homes where orphaned and abandoned children can live, learn, and grow into confident young adults. It provides them with medical care, comprehensive education, and vocational training. In 2015, the You Are Not Alone Foundation expanded its activities to offer cardiac surgery to children from poor families. An impressive collaboration has developed between medical teams from Tashkent and Professor Olivier Baron's team at the Nantes University Hospital. And this active exchange has since saved the lives of 124 children, including little Azamat, who was operated on in Nantes. Uzbekistan is the most populated country in Central Asia and one of the oldest inhabited regions in the world, the source of Indo-European languages. The archaeological vestige of the various empires and kingdoms which conquered these lands and the legendary Silk Route are making this country a popular tourist destination today. But outside the jewels that are Samarkand, Khiva, or Bukhara, people living in the more remote, arid regions of the steppe, desert, and mountains are often more vulnerable. The agriculture sector is very active. Cotton, known as white gold, is widely cultivated. The population is predominantly Muslim, and the districts, called mahallas, often bring together members of the same family extended by marital unions. Community takes precedence over the individual, and arranged marriage remains the most important event in the life of a woman who de facto belongs to her husband's family. Inbreeding causes high rates of children born with rare genetic diseases, mental retardation, kidney problems, heart defects, skeletal deformities, congenital deafness, or blindness. The families are grateful to the You Are Not Alone Foundation and the French doctor and his team. Hospitality is paramount among these modest families, and sharing bread and tea is an absolute politeness which ends with a prayer. The family of little Malika tells us her complicated journey. The 82-year-old grandfather is the financial supporter for this family of 13. He was forced to sell his few possessions to meet the demands of costly doctors in Termez and Tashkent. But then he heard about the You Are Not Alone Foundation and turned to them for help.
Nevaramız yoshda gider, nechanchiligi? 2-11'de kasal bo'lib qoldi. Toza davolanishga qiynalib, mana shu dori kuniga 150-200 mingga dori olib qiynadik.
Termizga bordi, banitsaga. Termizga ham da. Termizga
15, 16, 17, 18 gacha qatnadi. 3 yil.
Toza qiynadi.
Bo'lmaydi deb qaytargan paytlari bo'ldi doktorlarni. Bu yashamaydi dedi. Xohlagan davlating olib chiq dedi. Shunda ham mana qizim hayotga qaytdi.
O'z holiga keldi.
Seni qizim.
Sen yolg'iz emassan, jamg'armasiga minnatdorman. Ular juda ko'p yordam berdi, ko'mak berdi. Yo'l yo'riqlar ko'rsatdi. Qizimizni hayotga qaytardi. Biz o'sha hammasidan biz minnatdormiz.
Yaqinlar yordam berdi.
In Uzbekistan, people usually celebrate important life moments with their neighbors. During the ceremony in honor of Malika's healing, a neighbor admitted her son was suffering from a serious heart condition, tetralogy of Fallot, which is a combination of 4 congenital abnormalities. Malika's parents advised her to contact the You Are Not Alone Foundation. The mother is worried. The operation is urgent. The family lives in a dilapidated house with their oldest daughter and their sick child.
Keyin 7 oyligida uchastkovoy vrachimiz kelib tekshirganda yuragida boshqacha o'zgarish bor dedi. Toshkentga olib bordik. Sampi keyin diagnoz qo'yib berdi. Toshkentga olib bordik, operatsiyaga katta pul so'radi. Uncha pulimiz yo'q. Uyimizda 10 yil bo'ldi qurganimizga, remont qilishga ilojimiz yo'q. Bu kishilardan Sen yolg'iz emas fondini eshitdim. Keyin bir o'zim bordim bola bilan. Poyezddan borib tushib bir kun kechgacha izlab topib taxmin qilib keldik. Yordam beramiz deyishdi. Rahmat.
Little Ilkam will be operated on in 1 week in Tashkent by Professor Olivier Baron. The You Are Not Alone Foundation selects families after studying the medical and social documents of sick children. Then the cases are sent to the Nantes medical team, who plan further examinations for their next trip to Tashkent, 900 kilometers from Termez in the Fergana region. The families of Musafar and Kibriye are anxious about their children's operations. Once again, it was neighbors who told them about the foundation.
Men Toshkentda ishlaydim. Ashaqdan xabar ishdi, bina bularga telefon qildim. Shunaqa Lola Karimova yordam beryapti ekanlar. Fond shunaqa deb jiyanimga
2017-yilda bu Muzaffar farzandim dunyoga keltirganman. Shu raddomda yo'q, yurak nuqsoni bor deb ogohlantirishgan, viloyatga olib borib ko'rsatdik. U yerda ham bu yerda ilojisi yo'q. Chetga olib chiqish kerak deb maslahat berishdi.
chet elda.
Endi biz
Kasallik qanaqa?
tug'ma yurak nuqsoni. Sampi. Qansirash. Hozir 2,5 yosh bo'lgan, hali yurgani yo'q. Ishonch bor. Umid qilib o'tiramiz.
Ishonch bor. O'tiring onasizda, ishonch onasiga. Yig'lama.
Direktda ipatdim.
Ko'rarkanda ko'r.
Qiladi, bular o'zi qilib beradi ham. Mana qatnashadi. Mana o'zlari aytgan murakkab, operatsiya deydi qilmaymiz. Katta rahmat.
Yana bitta gapirar ekan, qaytarib aytib berar ekansiz.
Ikkinchi privkasini olganda isitma bergan. O'shanda keyin doktorlar kelib ko'rib xabar olgani kelganda shu tirnoqlari, lablari ko'kargan. Shunda keyin doktorga ko'rinib kelasizlar kardiologga degan. Olib borib ko'rsatganmiz. Ular eho qildirgan. Eholari keyin yaxshi chiqmagan, uchotka qo'ygan. Undan beri tez-tez shamollab qoladi, tez-tez charchab qoladi. Mana shu bahorga chiqqandan keyin toliqishga boshladi. Ko'p yugursa, ko'p harakat qilsa, oyoqlari ko'karib ketadi, lanlari ko'karadi. Tirnoqlari doim cho'kib
Onamga tegib
turadi.
ketyapsan, onam. Chim.
Tez charchaydi, toliqadi. Ular 5 yoshdan keyin qilish kerak deb aytishdi.
Like little Illicum, Kibriye will have her operation in 1 week with Professor Olivier Bahon in Tashkent. Shodia Bonu's grandmother, who is a neighbor, wants to reassure Kibriye's parents. Her granddaughter was operated on in Nantes, France 6 months ago and has grown a lot. She is recovering spectacularly.
Meni acham 10 yil davomida meni har joyga olib borib kasalim tuzatish uchun yugurganlar. Keyin biz fond topganmiz. Fonddan yozilib Eropamga uchraganmiz. Eropam baron akamga aytib, meni yozdirib Fransiyaga jo'natishgan. Men u yerdan onam bilan davolanib operatsiya bo'lib yaxshi bo'lib kelganman. Hozir juda ham yaxshiman. Ahvolim juda ham yaxshi. Maktabga borib yaxshi a'lo baholarga o'qiyapman.
Rahmat. Sizlar ham sog' bo'linglar.
Rahmat.
Shunchalik nevarangizdan orqasidan yugurib, bu qizim ham yaxshi katta qiz bo'lsinlar. Mana tabriklab qo'yamiz. Oyalar rahmat.
Oyalar rahmat.
Here we are dealing with pathologies that have to be watched, that are not diagnosed in prenatal, but in postnatal, and that are unexpected. In France, these pathologies would be treated within a child's first 6 months, but here they are treated when the child is 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and complications have often developed by then. Chronic cyanosis, the thickness of the heart muscle, and the large collateralities, for instance. We do not see this in France, as well as repercussions in other organs, especially on the lungs.
Once the children have been operated on, the You Are Not Alone Foundation provides post-operative follow-up. The child and his or her parents remain under the foundation's care until their complete recovery.
Shundan beri chopadi-da, o'sha operatsiyadan oldin umuman chopish unaqa narsa yo'q edi. Charchab shunaqa yotar edi. Operatsiya bo'lgandan keyin sog'lom bola bo'lgani uchunmi shu chopdi-da, faqat chopib, yugurib, xursand. Avval hech ham kulganini ko'rmasdik-da. Undan keyin kulib, nima qilib yurdi-da. Hozir ham menaka yaxshi, Xudoga shukr.
Hozirgi kunda juda ham sog'lom bola bo'lib yetishib turibdi. Nasib Xudo xolasa yanvar oyidan 1-yanvardan Desatga maktabgacha ta'lim muassasasiga bermoqchimiz. Hozirgi kunda uyda yurish turishlari yaxshi, sog'lom. Valsafda haydaydi, velik hozirgi kunda o'yinqaroq. Sog'lom bolalar qatori deb o'ylaymiz, sog'lom. Avvalambor shu seniorlik emasdan tashkilotiga katta rahmat. Sog'lom bu operatsiyadan chiqarib berganligi uchun.
These are defects for which, in France, there may have been a therapeutic termination of pregnancy. In France, single ventricle defects are often diagnosed before birth. And since we cannot do curative surgery at that stage, we do palliative surgery. Very often in France, an interruption of pregnancy is suggested. There is no prenatal diagnosis here. These children are born, and we see a lot of single ventricle defects that we would not see in such large numbers in France.
It's time to return to Tashkent for the arrival of Professor Olivier Bahon and Dr. Ariane de Wint. The Eramed Clinic is a private clinic specializing in diagnostics and cardiac surgery. It welcomes the French doctors who set to work according to the schedule prepared by the foundation. The corridors of the clinic are taken over by the parents and their sick children. Dr. Boytir Ismatov, cardiologist, continues the ultrasounds. The children we met in their village, Illicum and Kibriye, are immediately taken care of and prepped for their planned operations the next day.
Overall, we manage to do 2 to 3 operations per day. For example, on a mission like this one, we will succeed in operating on a dozen children. These operations are inevitably long. As we only have one operating room, we cannot do more than 2 complex operations per day. So that means we can do about a dozen operations. On the other hand, when it comes to ultrasounds, we will do about 40 ultrasounds during our stay, or even a few more.
Technical and cultural differences require the 2 French and Uzbek teams to adapt to each other's practices, an exchange that is not always simple, but certainly beneficial for all. We are in Tashkent, where I'm working with an anesthesiologist who has been here since the opening of the clinic. We need to be quite flexible as the medications and equipment here are not the same as in France. Many of the components are older here. Everything is written in Russian here, in Cyrillic script. The respirator, the syringe pumps, the drugs are all labeled in Russian or Korean, so I am completely dependent on my colleague and I have to trust him. I am lucky to have a young anesthesiologist who is very open, who adapts well, and listens to what I tell him.
The problem here is the lack of resources. We have to make do with much less than we have in France. But in France, we have very high achievement targets that we do not have here. And the level of exigence is not the same. Defects are diagnosed much later here, and that means the pathologies are more developed, and the cases are much more complex than we have to deal with in France. The young surgeons I work with have been trained in South Korea, and they are properly trained. In terms of theory, we have a dialogue of equals. What they need is to develop all their knowledge of the newborn child, so that they can take care of the child and the pathologies much earlier with much better results. What we knew in France at the end of the 1980s, this is what they should adopt here now. We were very surprised and amazed to see how quickly Professor Barron works. This means that cardioplegia will take less time, with less stress. We really want to adopt Professor Barron's technique. He's a wonderful man.
The children, Illikom and Kibrier, are in the post-operative room. This sensitive step is under close surveillance to check that the child's body adapts well to the new heart rates, blood pressure, and breathing. The skin has lost its bluish tint. The children wake up slowly. The staff feed them earlier than they would in France. The mothers are finally allowed to visit.
Professor Olivier Barron is not only an experienced surgeon, he is an excellent teacher too. During the operations, Professor Barron explains everything, showing all the details and nuances. Our collaboration isn't just about working together, it's our training too. It's an invaluable help to improve our professional level. This was the first time that the young surgeons I met here took part in operations like these. So sharing knowledge is important, and that's the heart of my job, and that's why I travel abroad. In Uzbekistan or in other countries, I come to share knowledge, to train teams so that they can then take over for me. This is part of my job as a teacher.
The time has come to leave. Thanks to the You Are Not Alone Foundation, 12 children have been cured during this visit. They and their families have been offered a new life. In the orphanages built, renovated, and refurbished by the You Are Not Alone Foundation, the staff care for and protect children that are found or brought into the orphanage homes. Siblings may be abandoned at any age. The staff give them all the affection and moral support they can, always going the extra mile. For disabled children who need specific facilities, the foundation provides free diagnoses followed by orthopedic and neurological treatments. The You Are Not Alone Foundation puts education at the heart of nearly all its missions. The foundation's dedicated educational center encourages children to develop their intellectual skills as well as their creativity. Painting, dancing, and public speaking are all part of the curriculum here. Nothing is forgotten and everyone is nurtured so they can grow into independent, responsible adults. Over the past 15 years, 2,500 orphaned and disabled children from low-income families have benefited from the center's activities. Bright students are given scholarships, opening the door to university education. Remedying the accidents and tragedies of life through science, education, care, and affection helps alleviate the tragic fate of children and poor families. Thanks to her commitment, Mrs. Lola Karamova-Tilieva has made thousands of children proud of their lives. Every human being aspires to a fair and dignified life. This could be the motto for the You Are Not Alone Foundation.